agenda for just a moment. We have a presentation from Rabbi Mendelstein regarding the Southfield Menorah Lighting Program.
Thank you very much. I stand here before you for at least the 8th year in a row to once again invite you all to our annual menorah lighting on the lawn of the Southfield City Hall. As we know, the message of Hanukkah is that even a little bit of light in absolute darkness can shed a lot of light, and that we can never be satisfied with what we've accomplished until now, but we must always add a little more light. So in that spirit, we'll be having the Southfield Menorah lighting on December 23rd at 6 o'clock p.m. right out here, right in front. We'll be having lively music with many students from the Lubavitch Yeshiva in Oak Park, where I work. They'll be joining us here as we do every year, rain or shine, snow or ice, warm or cold, whatever it is, we'll be here. I know some of you may be away for the holidays. However, whoever's in town, from the council members, the council president, the mayor, and all the citizens of Southfield and beyond, you're all welcome to join us. We'll be having a fire show, and please join us for the celebrations. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have 3 reappointments.
Good evening, Council. Once again, I have several appointments. Actually, they're reappointments. So I'd like to ask Eric Rusk to come up. I know he's in the audience. And also Robert Willis and Jeremy Griffiths. I'm asking for approval this evening to reappoint Eric Rusk to the Downtown Development Authority. He represents Kenmar Corporation, which is in the Kenmar building at the corner of 9 Mile and Southfield, one of our larger businesses in the DDA. And then for the Planning Commission, these gentlemen to my left have served with distinction, Robert Willis and Jeremy Griffiths, and I am asking approval for the reappointment to the Planning Commission for these 2 gentlemen.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Mr. Russ to the Downtown Development Authority, Mr. Griffiths to the Planning Commission, and reappoint Mr. Willis to the Planning Commission.
Support.
Motion has been moved by Councilman Brightwell and supported by Councilwoman Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are no opposed.
You guys can come over here. Yeah, go over here. I'm going to do him first, then I'll do you too. Okay? Just raise your right hand for me, sir. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State, and the Charter of the City of Southfield, and I will faithfully perform the duties of Office of Downtown Development Authority Officer to the best of my ability. Yes. I do. I do. There you go. Just sign it right here. And once you're done, you're going to go around and shake everybody.
In the back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State, and the Charter of the City of Southfield, and I will faithfully perform the duties of Planning Commissioner to the best of my ability.
I do.
Mr. You're first.
Good to see you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you for your service, sir. Good to see you.
It's good seeing you too. That is actually my signature.
first realized that call down here. I'm gonna say something for the new audience. Just, you know, the viewing audience. Yeah, we could just before that. Oh, okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, I'd like a motion for approval of our consent agenda.
I'd like to move that we approve consent agenda items A through H.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandenball and supported by Councilwoman Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The consent agenda is approved. I have a request from Councilman Dan Brightwell in reference to an announcement he'd like to make. So,
I just want to make an announcement for the viewing audience, why I have on sunglasses. I mentioned it to the prior audience that we had in the study session, but I recently had an ophthalmic procedure, and it's recommended that during this healing process that I should wear sunglasses. So that is the reason why. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir. And then I'd like to ask the president of the AKA Association to come back up real briefly. Just like to know if you'd just like to give a brief summary, if you will, of what Juneteenth means to our viewing audience, for those that may not know.
I surely will. President Pro Tem, Councilman, viewing audience, I am Zena Kiles, the president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We are partnering with the city of Southfield and the mayor to initiate our first annual Juneteenth week celebration. For those who don't know what Juneteenth is, it is the day in which the slaves were told that they were free in Texas, 2 years after the original Emancipation Proclamation was delivered. So in June 19th of 1865, the slaves in Texas were told that they were free. They initiated a Juneteenth celebration. This is a cultural event that we want to bring to our Southfield to our Southfield area and to the Oakland County area. Our Wayne County area has a Juneteenth celebration. We believe that the Southfield area, which is the center of it all, can do the same thing for Oakland County. The Juneteenth week celebration will be a culmination of several events throughout the week, focusing on the arts, focusing on our children, and focusing on the heritage of Juneteenth. We will have a African American history tour on Tuesday, June the 16th, highlighting the Underground Railroad connection that Southfield has. On Wednesday, we will have a come out and play area for the city of Southfield, which will include HBCU components, a stage performance for arts for our city and for our youth. On Thursday, we will have a youth art fair in culmination with the Detroit Fine Arts Breakfast Club. So we'll be supporting and highlighting our youth in the arts along with the Breakfast Club that occurs in the Detroit area. Rounding the week, we will have our first annual Mayor's Walk for Freedom on June 20th. Again, this event is just a come out, relaxing, have a walk around city of Southfield, and it is a walk to freedom. Attached to that, we will have a health fair on top of that. So it is the culmination of partnership with the Southfield City Council or Southfield Parks and Recs, as well as the mayor, as well as our Greek letter organizations who will work in tangent with the city to put these events on for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no public hearings. We have no site plans. Now we approach the communications section of our meeting. The first speaker we have is Pamela Gerald. I don't see her here. The next speaker is Gerard Mullen. He's not here. The next speaker is Sonia Simpson Gardner. She's not here. The next speaker is Maceo Rhodes. He's not here. The next speaker is Stacy Jackson. She's here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Stacy Jackson, 21685 Rougewood Drive, Southfield, Michigan, 48033. I am here again tonight to express my concerns about the city's lack of enforcement or selective enforcement of Ordinance 1571. I'm reminded that the most proudest moment that I've seen, or the single most proudest thing I've seen by a council member, was watching Councilman Mandamam remove himself from his seat to stand next to a woman who was a Holocaust survivor to express the concerns and the importance of a mikveh. I was proud of that. However, I also see that in that very moment, it was also the greatest act of tribalism I've seen from a public figure as a city council. I've noticed that that community only took one time to come here to the city to express their concerns about the mikveh, and there was resolve. I stand before you, a woman who have come before this city well over 1 year to discuss the concerns of my entire community and those thousands across this city affected by Ordinance 1571 and its lack of enforcement for nearly 20 years. I pride myself on being a woman of diplomacy, but there are some things that are uncompromising for me. My integrity is one. Having said that, I am unapologetically compassionate for all people. I am unapologetically smart. I am unapologetically a woman. And above all else, I am unapologetically Black. I am concerned that even with the largest in this city's history, we have 5 sitting African-American council people. And I wonder what the message would resonate if all 5 of those council people would remove themselves from their seat and stand next to me and say, Ms. Jackson is right. We need to do something about this. I am concerned that so little of our culture, while the celebratory acts are there, the real essence of it truly is discarded. There is no reason why the Motown mural remains there, discarded on a shelf, being destroyed. You see, the true disrespect is that no one thought enough of it not to replace it there in the first place. I am concerned that this city does not see me. It is caught up in all these different pronouns of she, her, and hers, and him, his, and his. The greatest pronoun of all is always I am. I am somebody. I am somebody standing before you representing an entire community and thousands of other residents. The last council meeting, they had the audacity to have a developer stand before this council to ask to purchase 2 parcels of land for $5,000. And our city officials actually spoke up on behalf of that person on the account that it does not connect it to city sewage. That developer spoke about the, thank you. The clock is not set, so I was not able to move as fast. Thank you.
And next we will have Keith Harris.
All Race and Life Matter, P.O. Box 2769 48037. Like my better half was saying, we have so much more work to do in this city. We talk about Juneteenth, but here we're not even respected today. Like she said, our art, this beautiful mural that were painted is sitting in ruins right now while we repair dolphins and the Barren Boy, where black art is destroyed. Now, I had the opportunity to talk to a few out-of-state council people, Congress people, through just meeting some people. And people say, well, what is Brenda Lawrence doing? I said, not a damn thing. I said, I've went to her, talked about an ordinance that she signed that she didn't enforce on white people. But I asked her, why are they allowing this ordinance to be enforced on blacks? She couldn't answer. I asked her, why is it so many blacks being ran through the 46th District Court? She couldn't answer. You know, we have 37 black women in Congress. We have 41 black men in Congress. But we got the only congresswoman who will not speak up and boldly say the word black or African American. I'm proud, and I'm looking forward to seeing this picture renewed and restored on Juneteenth, so our children can see this. I'm tired of black people losing their homes, and the mayor and his crooked nonprofit, along with the city manager, is picking them up. It is time that we get what we should have, and that's our freedom of speech, black home ownership, along with new schools in the city of Southfield. We're getting angry, and I sound angry, but like I said before, I'd rather be a dead free man than a live slave. I'm telling you, if Jews can have it, we can have it. And Brenda Lawrence, I hope you're listening, because we're coming for you if you don't speak up.
Next, we will have Greg Keeler.
Greg Keeler, Southfield resident. Come before you today because this morning when I woke up, Lawrence Tech was dumping on my fence their yard waste. They had been moving their yard waste closer and closer to my fence as they could. Now, when they were doing the dorm, they heard from this council that they had to be at least 15 feet away from me. Buffer zone, both sides. They have not followed that buffer zone. They have gone through the neighborhood since you have given them yes to put that dorm on there. They have eliminated most of our trees in my neighborhood. I can't understand why were they dumping dirt that was higher than my fence at my fence, other than to let animals jump over the fence, which means what was the point of my fence being there at all? I'm tired of these little tactics from Lawrence Tech being done to discourage the residents there, to make life as miserable as possible as they can. It was nice some 20 years ago they had hot dogs, pop, potato chips, but if you have hypertension, I guess that would help you kind of die, since you don't need the salt in your life. So I'm tired of them pouring salt into the wound. And I'm glad that I was able to contact Ms. Taylor and say that there was a problem, and she did get code enforcement come out there, and code enforcement looked and said they're not even supposed to be dumping where they're supposed to be dumping at right now near my yard. They are supposed to be away, and there should not be a pile of trash that they freshly pushed up to my backyard sitting there. Now, with the first 40 feet they did today, they moved that 40 feet. But the other 100 feet, that's still sitting there. So I have a little bit of a problem with them in cleaning up. Some of the things they've done around there, as you asked with the retention pond, it drains onto our street. It doesn't hold water, it drains on the street. I thought the water was supposed to go into the retention pond. That was the whole point of it. And I've brought this up before. I'm trying to understand exactly who voted y'all in, Lawrence Tech or did the residents? And who do y'all work for? The residents or Lawrence Tech? Because it seems like they have too much sway to get things done that they want to do. I also would like to say thank you to our administrator and assistant administrator. When I brought up the issue about the water, they were quick and fast to respond to it. They understood the importance of the issue and the communities around us
Mr. Keeler.
being affected by the water.
Thank you so much. Your time is up, sir. Next, we will have Lewis Williams.
Lewis Williams. Good evening.
Good evening.
I continue to be opposed to the selling of any part of the Northland property to a marijuana grow business for the purpose of selling medical marijuana. There's a real concern about the possible increase in crime by allowing this into our community. Also, there's a concern about the negative impact on property values in that area. I don't live in that area, but I'm concerned about the citizens who do, and anything that impacts our city impacts my wife and I. I understand the city council now is considering issuing licenses to recreational marijuana businesses in our city. I hope that there's not a desire for tax dollars that would blind our concern about the negativity that could and likely would come into our community by allowing recreational marijuana businesses in our city. It's my understanding the city can take the position that we're not going to issue any licenses for medical marijuana. I don't know the particulars on this, but I'm sure our fine city attorney can clarify that for us. As my time, I'm sure, is about to run out, I can't tell, but I would like to conclude by saying, as I've said before, some may call Southfield the family city. Others, I've seen it said where it's the all-American city. I don't want it to be called the marijuana city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next, we will have Sarah Habbo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sarah Habbo, and I just wanted to share some considerations that I hope you all will take when businesses come to you asking for abatements. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and local organizers in New York, they blocked Amazon from getting a $3 billion subsidy to open up a facility in New York. And actually, 2 or 3 days ago, Amazon still came and they opened a facility in their community without taking a $3 billion subsidy, which means they're paying their full share of taxes to be located in the city. And I want us to be sure that we're at least trying to do what's best for the residents, because when we are willing to raise taxes on the seniors who live in our community and tell them that you need to pay your fair share, I think it's not unreasonable to ask corporations to do their part as well. And I realize that often they'll come to you and say, well, we have these programs where students walk through our building and they get to see what we do. How many jobs have come out of that? How many Southfield residents, Southfield students who've gone through this walkthrough have gotten an actual job working in these places. I'd like to see more numbers when they come here and they tell you that these are what they're doing. Are these internships paid or unpaid? Are they even internships, or are they literally just letting these kids walk through the building and we're calling that a program? Because we need to find actual, tangible things that residents get as well, and not just benefits that these companies get. Because I understand the city can only get so much. I got it. If every city is shorting the state of Michigan, then where is the money that we'll have to pay municipalities? That's the money that we would need to pay municipalities. And we're shorting the state, which is shorting all the other communities. And I think we have to be more responsible and more diligent in the research we do about the corporations and companies who come into the community and ask for these abatements. I complained about credit acceptance, and they're a predatory lender, and they still are a predatory lender. And that's a real serious concern that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haber. Thank you so much. Next, we will go on to the council portion of communications. Council? Does anyone have anything for the communications portion?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
We have an expense report for Tanya Morris to be approved. I make a motion that we approve that expense.
Support.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the travel expense for Tanya Morris. The motion was made by Councilwoman Taylor and supported by Councilman Brightwell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I shall abstain since I am Tanya Morris. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Yes, okay. Councilman Mandamo.
Thank you. There are two important events going on this week that I think everyone should be aware of. The first one is tomorrow, Tuesday, at the Southfield Library in the meeting room. There is a, from 6 to 8, Narcan training. The Southfield Police and Fire Departments have partnered with the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities and the Southfield Community Anti-Drug Coalition to offer free Narcan training, again, tomorrow from 6 to 8 in the Southfield Library meeting room. Participants will learn how to administer the Narcan, which is basically a nose spray to help with opioid overdose, and it can save lives almost instantly. You must be 18 years and older with a valid driver's license or state ID in order to receive the kit. If you have any questions, you can reach out to the police department or the fire department, and they'll be happy to answer any questions. Also, this week on Thursday, here in the Southfield Pavilion, from 6 to 9 p.m., we are having a community response to active shooter events. It's a safety presentation that will be put on by a number of organizations and people. There will be the presentations from police department, fire department, as well as many other agencies. And it will teach you what to do in the case of an unfortunate event. Again, it's this Thursday in the Southfield Pavilion from 6 to 9, a community response to an active shooter event. Please be advised that some content may not be suitable for young children. And if you have any questions, feel free to call the police department at 248-796-5300. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? All right. Do we have any subcommittee updates? This is a new agenda item, so we may not, but I just wanted to ask. Okay, next time. Mayor.
I was wondering when, first of all, I was wondering under committee reports, is there a boards and commissions meeting planned?
We're working on figuring out a date before the end of the year.
Okay.
And specifically for the appointments next week.
We have a couple of appointments that I'd hope will be made soon.
Yes.
Thank you. First thing I want to speak about this evening is the yard waste collection has been extended through this week. So if you're a Monday pickup, you've already missed it. But the last day for yard waste pickup in the city of Southfield will be Friday, the 13th. And also, from time to time, I give you a report on what My Brother's Keeper is doing, our Southfield chapter. For the last year, they've been doing a program called Meal with a Message, which will continue this Saturday from 11 to 1:30 p.m. That's December 14th in the Parks and Rec. People are asked to RSVP to Joanne Gurley in the cable department. Again, My Brother's Keeper, Southfield chapters for teen boys in grades 6 through 12. And the group has been volunteering. There's a program that they recently engaged in called Build a Bunk Bed event. And this Saturday, they'll be assisting with the Soulful Santa celebration this weekend at Parks and Rec. That's Saturday and Sunday. That's all I have this evening.
Okay, administration?
I have no information this evening, madam.
Okay, attorney?
I have nothing.
You got to lift that seat, Don. I can't hardly see. City clerk? The treasurer's not here. The planner's gone. The assessor's left. The engineer's not here. Nothing else to schedule?
We just got closed session.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we move into closed session.
Support.
Okay, Councilman Mandenbaum has made a motion to go into closed session. It's been supported by Councilwoman Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We need a roll call.
Roll call.
Okay.
Banks?
Can I have a roll call?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Haskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. Brings our council meeting to a close, right? And we're going into closed session. Okay. Thank you, everyone.